I have no idea what I'm doing. Let me be real. There were seasons in my legal career when I would literally sit at my desk and I would say to myself, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was practicing tax law at the highest level. I was at a big firm starting out in my city where I'm from. It was one of the biggest firms there in the state. And then I transitioned to an even bigger firm, a top 50 firm, and worked in Washington, D.C., across from the White House, and was working with prestigious teams, with mentors and people who I worked under who went to Yale and Harvard. And I just still felt like such a fraud sometimes. And it's just like, imposter syndrome is one term, but I felt like I kept waiting for someone to say to me, oh, wait, you're not supposed to be here. But one day, a mentor of mine told me something that I will never, never forget. The longer you practice law, and the sooner you accept that you don't know everything, the better off you'll be. And listen, when I tell you that right there, set me free. Not immediately. It still doesn't necessarily set me free even to this day. But the further along that I get, and now as a business owner, starting my own business and my own practice, I am very comfortable knowing that I don't know everything, but I can look it up. I can look out to other resources. I can find mentors. I can hire coaches and find ways to learn things and figure things out. But it is completely okay to remind myself that I don't know everything. And frankly, I'm not supposed to. And it also reminded me that not knowing everything doesn't make me unqualified. What it does make me instead is it makes you human. That's it. And that's not just for law, you guys. Like I'm a lawyer, I'm an attorney, so obviously I mentioned my career in that aspect, and those are my experiences. But that's true for life as well. That's true in other areas of my life. You are not unqualified because you don't know everything. It just means you're human. And let's talk about this word, qualified, this big word, because that is where the imposter syndrome whispers all of these things that kind of come into our head. I don't know about you guys, but as a Black woman, imposter syndrome is real, okay? The things are like, you don't deserve to be here. You got here by affirmative action. They're going to figure you out. All these things, especially in times right now, like, oh, you're not even qualified to be here. It was just by a number that you got here. You're not smart enough, experienced enough, polished enough, all the things that can really dissuade you from you having been selected to be there or to be where you are today. But I had to start reminding myself, even when I was in that job, right? In my last job, I was at a firm. It was about 120, 150 lawyers. It was about 150 attorneys. And I was only one of a couple of Black attorneys that were in that office. And I was the only Black associate in that office. And so one thing that I remember my dad telling me when I was just like, I don't, just figuring it out, is he even reminded me, okay, Brooke, especially in this world, especially being a Black woman, right? Nobody hires you, has layoffs, and keeps you for years and pays you more money because they're doing it because you're a charity case. They don't do that, right? This is corporate America, and especially in those big law firms, they're not doing that. They're doing it because you have something that they need. And especially being a person of color, getting paid all that money. One thing that my dad even told me is you're most likely you're not even underqualified. You're probably overqualified if they're willing to pay you this, fly you out, have you move across the country, do all these transactions, hold you accountable to lead these transactions. Stop doubting yourself. You're capable of knowing, and you know what you're doing. Again, I'm a Black woman in America, right? Nobody was going to give me a $300,000 salary out of pity. And I wasn't in some warm, fuzzy environment either. There were 2 layoffs while I was there in my time. And guess what? If I didn't perform, I was out. That was the culture there. So when I started questioning myself, my dad reminded me, trust me, they are not in the business of taking charity cases. You're there because you're capable. So let me pass this on to you. You are not another charity. You are not a charity case. You are not a charity case. You are called, you are equipped, and you've earned your seat to be there. But even when I didn't feel qualified, I had to remember who is the ultimate qualifier. So let's go back to the Bible for a second. Let's go from the biblical reference, aspect. Moses literally told God, I can't speak well. I'm not the one, okay? Like, he had a stuttering problem. He had a speech problem. And God still said to him, Go, I will be with you. David was a teenager with a slingshot, okay? A teenager with a slingshot, not a trained soldier, but he took down Goliath, this ginormous giant who was just running across everybody. He took him down and became king. Esther was a young Jewish woman in a foreign land, right? She's in a foreign empire. She wasn't royalty until God placed her in a royal position for her to use her power for his purpose. Gideon, like, let's use Gideon for example, said he was the least in his family, okay? Said he was the least in his family. And God said to him, you are a mighty warrior. Jeremiah, last example, Jeremiah told God he was too young. How many does this speak to you for you guys? Oh, somebody's told you you're too young, age discrimination, whatever you want to call it. But guess what God said to him? Don't say you're too young. I will put my words in my mouth for you. I will tell you what to say. I will be your counselor, right? All of these people I just named, Moses, Jeremiah, King David, Gideon, Esther, all these people, they were absolutely, if you looked at them, they probably weren't qualified. But guess who was the one who qualified them? God. And that's what made it even more of a testimony to him, right? Again, it's about him. It's because he was the ultimate qualifier for them. I really want to say this clearly. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the call. Let me repeat that. Typically, he's not going to call somebody who's already qualified. He is going to qualify the person that he called. And the reason, so if you're sitting in a space, you're feeling out of place, you don't measure up, I just want you to look up. Look up to your Heavenly Father, because if God puts you here and he calls you to do something, he will equip you with the tools, with the words, with what you need, the strength to get through. The truth is, the world doesn't benefit from us shrinking. God didn't bless you with wisdom, experience, all these gifts, all these different things so that you could quietly corner yourself and, question yourself throughout the process. And I'm not saying that you have to be arrogant or loud. Absolutely, that is not what I'm saying. You don't have to be boastful. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm God's favorite. I know what, all of these different things, and be arrogant in the things that God has given you and allowed you to do and qualified you for. But what I am saying is walk in a room like you belong there, because guess what? You do. You absolutely do. Even now, running my own firm, building multiple businesses, there are still moments when I question if I'm doing it right. Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing it the right way, right? But the truth is, one thing that I've learned from many successful business owners, managers, people, whatever walk of life. One thing that I've learned from those people who end up being super successful and have that alignment with God is that 9 times out of 10, you'll never be ready. The ones who win are the ones who decide to move anyway, even though they're not ready. They obey anyway. They build anyway. And when fear says you're not ready, they say, but my God is. That's what they say. This is the exact type of hard work that we do inside of our community and Leveled Up Money. It's not just about budgeting and numbers and building wealth. It's ultimately about mindset. It's about learning to believe that you truly deserve wealth, that you are wise enough to manage it, and that God has given you the power to create it. Because although we talk about wealth, right? Although it's about money, the main reason that money is such a valuable tool is because it really gets us the asset that we really want, which isn't even money. It's actually time. For you to buy your time back, for you to have that time freedom to go to your kids' concerts and not have to work overtime, to spend time with your family, to do family vacations, to have those moments that you love and remember with your loved ones. That's what it's about. And we help you build your custom wealth plan, shift your mindset from burnout to abundance, and step into faith-filled prosperity. So that's what I really, really push with Leveled Up Money. I push people who are ready to stop shrinking and to join us and level up together. We're here to help you level up, whether it's in your mindset, whether it's in figuring out what your mission is. That's what this community is about. And so I really hope this was another message that really, really spoke to you. If it did, I'd always love seeing your comments down below. Share this with a friend or somebody that you believe could transform their life. And just remember again, don't let imposter syndrome get you down, especially in a time like now where we are seeing different policies dismantled and more roadblocks put in our place to keep us out of certain environments and to rid us of opportunities. You are qualified. You've always been qualified. And guess what? Even if you think you're underqualified, if God calls you to do it, He will qualify you. Have no doubt in your mind. Put in the work, have the faith. Once you put in your work and once you have that faith, leave the rest to God. Okay? So that is my message to you today. I hope it was well received. And as always, I'll see you in the next episode, and let's level up. See you soon.